Hello, everyone. I wanted to say happy birthday, happy 2-year birthday to the Leftshooter. To tell you the story of the Leftshooter, we got to go back to May 24th, 2014. I was sought out by Abuse underscore. He was the leader of Six Nation, a whole bunch of other factions, really long time factions player. And I'm talking like way before me, playing on servers like Fear PvP, Battle PvP, um, Sixth Smash, was that a server? I can't recall. There was a whole bunch of servers that him and his group played on, and they basically innovated the entire factions game. A lot of what we do now, be it base building, playing, everything, every server now has been affected by Sixth Nation and KNX LOL and King Tundra and that entire faction. So he sought me out because he started playing Controller again 2 years ago. Actually, 2 years ago and like 2 weeks ago, we'll say. He was working on in base in this faction called Conquer, which was AJNV and a bunch of other players from Woodycraft and some people from Controller got involved with them. My history with them could be a little off. But they basically started playing on Controller on the new reset, and they didn't talk in chat. Nobody really knew who there was. So there's a big fight between, long-time map rivalry between House of Legends versus Evil Empire, which was kind of like Get Swatted, 90k, Impact Raw, a bunch of other factions. And then, yeah, so this was Controller 5.0. Yeah, 5.0, sorry, 2 years ago. So this other faction, Conquer, they just kind of showed up. No one ever knew who they was. They never bothered them. No, they didn't bother anyone. So they built this huge base, lots of walls, huge for the time in terms of how many walls. There was no lava generation, so they hand-built everything. And then they just started raiding people that were maybe not as good as they once were. For example, one of their first raids, they raided Spoobies, which was a long-time Controller Power faction, but at that point, they were a shadow of them former selves, and honestly, they were a very weak faction. And shortly after getting raided, they split up and joined a whole bunch of different factions, including my own. And so here, let's take a look at their base. Basically, the reason why Abuse wanted to raid them was because Abuse had just started up playing again with Six Nation, and Conquer, being now a known faction on the server, with that was some sort of competition, raided Abuse while he was building their base, and he wasn't very happy about that. So he's always been an innovator. So he took a look at their base, and he talked with me, and he's like, hey, have you tried raiding them? Why not? And, there's a couple different ways I think we could go about it. So one of the big ways that he talked with me about was, would it be possible to shoot TNT sideways? And this has actually been brought up to me before by another person in my faction who was a part of Spoobies. Spoobies, interestingly enough, was a lot of bases, they had these wraps. So, their base really starts right here, right-ish. So a lot of people, they only had their walls down the buffer because left shooting wasn't a thing. You only need to build what was directly in front of their base. So they built, if their base was 2 chunks wide, that's 32 blocks wide, they would only build bases that were, or walls down the buffer that were only 32 blocks wide. So that means there would be a lot of times like no walls here. And if you take a look, we can kind of see, this is actually brand new. I'll talk with it about that in a second. But so you can basically shoot right here or right here, and then figure out a way using TNT alignment or offset in the barrel to shoot stuff this direction. So Abuse tasked me with working on this. So myself, I did a method with piston alignment. KNX LOL, he did one with trapdoors in the barrel. You'd take a normal like cannon and you'd rip off half of it, and you'd put a trapdoor system on the side. I have pictures of it, whatever. I didn't think it worked so well, and we ended up trying to use my version, which is down here. And it was really hard to raid them for a bunch of different reasons. Why they hadn't been raided before is they were very active, they had a lot of players, and were admittedly smart players. So what we did was we built the cannon quite far away, and we put camouflage on the roof, which looked really good at the time. A lot of people used Ray's minimap, and it looked really good there. And it just depends on like the settings and stuff. It doesn't look quite so good here. But we kind of timed it so that this was a couple days after we made the first working Leftshooter. And I'm talking, he messaged me on the 24th. We built it from the 24th to the 26th. We tried raiding them on the 26th. And yeah, so we built this pretty far out. We timed when we were going to try and raid them with a Woodycraft prison server debut, which they decided to play instead of going on controllers. So that meant like in a very, very, very large decrease in their activity. So what we did was we cannoned through this thing. First of all, this is stupid that this was built here, some other faction. We shot past all these walls, which there was a lot of them, and the hand built, all of them and slabs and everything. Shot past this. Now, you need to keep in mind that this extension here was not there. So we shot past all of this. The first wall we shot was these glass things right here. And you can see here, this is download from before they got roof raided by Six Nation. I blew through all of this. Cannoned all the way through to here, I think. Here or here. And yeah, it would have been this one here. And we got caught, basically. AJNV logged on and was selling cactus, whatever. He looked on his mini-map on accident. Like, he pushed, like, M, and it pulls this whole thing up. And he saw big-ass holes in his walls. So, because you can tell, you can see sand stack, on your mini-map. So, that was the end of that. And we thought we would be smart and we'd just do it again. So we built the same cannon further down, and this is it right here. Further out, and yeah, obviously we didn't raid them. We raided another faction called the Nexus, which was like another controller powerhouse faction that had, very similar base design kind of. And that was the first official left shooting raid. Now, why was this a big deal? First people to do it, and it totally changed how bases had to be made. As we know, we had to now do wraps and corner pillars, and then blah, 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 mid-air shooters and left shooting, blah, 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 blah. And unfortunately, because of how we got caught, we had the full cannon built. We were getting ready to pretty soon left shoot. And AJ downloaded the cannon, and then at first it's like, this won't work. You guys are stupid, it won't work. And me being very prideful, I'm like, it will work, and blah, 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 blah. You'll see it working, whatever. So then they actually took a long look at the cannon, and then they built defenses to counter it. And so that was the end of that. Okay, so I'm looking for the first left shooter. Basically, I just took one of the first 180 stackers I had made. No, this was 180. This was 230? I can't remember. No, this was 230. That was 180, yeah. Which was this, and whatever, messy. Let's see the date on this. March 2014. So then this here would be first left shooter. One wall left max used on Conqueror. We got to the last wall. So all it did was it took a normal cannon, and when it would get to the wall, or inside the barrel, it would just displace the hammer, so it would then shoot things down at an angle like that. It didn't use like a booster to shoot things sideways while keeping a differential and then stack downwards. It just shot straight sideways. So that's when you get the weird sand stacking, where it would stack like this, something like that. So I couldn't go very far. But I figured you could you could shoot further. But for most bases that was good enough using this. And so I started playing about, and my wiring wasn't very good at the time. I did a lot of interesting things, but I wasn't very good with the wiring. So eventually I got to the point where I made one that could stack sideways. And I totally didn't think it was going to work. Because, you would expect it to go, when it goes to the wall, when the left booster explodes, it would send things up then over. But instead, it actually shot things sideways. And that's because when you look at this, you can see with my wiring. Up here, yeah, I'm an idiot. You don't need this. But right here, this this redstone is going to tick off the repeater down there first. So those two dispensers tick off first. The other ones tick off because of some information disaster accumulated. God, I don't know. We figured out some things. And you can see there's different ways you can do different barrels. So this is one way. But this is the first one that would stack, 4 chunks, whatever, sideways. And I was really proud of it because, as you see here, normally when we have these boosters, this 15, whatever, left attachment, a lot of times we have it on this left side now, and we have a piston here where it pushes it in rather than realigning it. But you can see this is like a clusterfuck of piston and redstone. So I thought I was really proud of this because depending on how you set up the timings, you could shoot left or right, I believe, with this cannon, and then you could do some like really weird reversing. So basically you could change how the guider is set up. So if you look here, this compresses to here, and it's still in range with this booster. So then this compresses everything to as far as it can go this way. So first, depending on this, or on this setup, I kind of have it color coordinated orange. It would go right here, and this would then be used for the left stacking, because it's going to be to the right, or sorry, to the left. This is going to be to the right. So this then would get shot sideways. Also, though, if you don't even have this on, you could then use like different things to like reverse upwards and whatever. So you could then just, I thought it was really cool messing with this. And this cannon, I tried using it to raid Tiger Sleep, who was main competitor, a really strong competitor to my faction for a while before he ended up joining. And I worked with him on a lot of cannoning stuff in like 2014, yeah, before we became enemies faction-wise. So he actually got to download this cannon after I tried raiding him. So I was like super freaked out because I knew no one else could do this at the time. And in fact, no one did. And people tried emulating stuff I talked about, but they couldn't. And the whole reason why is because of these two dispensers. Nobody could get that figured out, except for like Disaster, because I told him specifically that. And he used this very similar, his own design, but similar ideas on Opticraft raid factions with like the second or third left shooting raid. So yeah, this cannon was floating around. People knew it existed. People knew how it worked, or people knew it could work, but nobody could do it until I explained how this whole segment worked. So just going further down now, I just have a whole bunch of other different cannons I was working on. I was trying to do different sand compressions, change my wiring, learn how to wire stuff better. I think this one I sold for a knife on CSGO, or something very similar to it. You can see now I've switched it to the other side and just changed the barrel setup, because the issue with this, also, this was around the time afterwards was one-shotting. So as you can see, there's no like hybrid sand. So first you'd have to slab bust, then you have to stack, then you have to hybrid. Whereas here, I think now it could slab bust, but in one shot. So we have the sand and the hybrid TNT, scatter TNT go down for the slab bust here. This caused lots of problems. It blew up. You know, it was a pain in the ass. And I was still trying to figure out the best barrel placement and stuff like that for myself. Leftshooter obviously comes in here, and here's the one-shot sand. So this would one-shot, but it was a pain in the ass doing it. Also, depending on how I set up the guider, it wouldn't... I think this one would full stack left, but I had a different cannon that would not full stack left. For comparison's sake, here is one of Disaster's cannons. Still using redstone torches. Also, I invented this wiring system. Just saying, 2012. Everyone was using torches but me. Disaster cannon. Disaster, he started switching to redstone repeaters for a bunch of different reasons. Depending on the server you play on, this won't work correctly because Minecraft sucks, and the elite YouTube redstoners that tell me, oh, you only need half the repeaters because you power like however many dispensers with one repeater, you're full of shit because you don't know what lag is. Anyways, this is just a 230 cannon, which you can see he was the first one to do this type of sand compression, which was super useful for a lot of reasons, and I know I'm doing like crazy talk right now. There is a version with a left shooter. It's the same ratio as mine. And for comparison's sake, here is the legendary New Left Slab 12R, which is over 18 months old now. So this is when this was done. Modular as hell. Still used today. I still use it because I like it. Obviously, here's the ratio. Actually, I think this is just 12 because it still has repeaters or torches there. But obviously, I think R has like an extra 3 dispensers, and it changes. It's a different ratio, but it's very similar. And then here's just more left shooting stuff. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, this is like a different. This is 18 minus 17 dispensers. So just more left shooting. And it's been kind of cool to see how it was possible. And I'll try and overlap some clips of stuff I talked about in here randomly. And yeah, eventually I'll do other videos. I'm busy. If I fly around enough. Oh, I want to talk about KNX's left shooter. I have this, which it was a really funny story about how I got this. This is not the first cannon I was talking about. This is not the first one he made for left shooting Conquer, and then we tried to figure out which one was the best. We decided it was mine, obviously. Duh. Just kidding. This was made sometime after, before they probably got a hold of mine with like the specific ratio. This was designed to stack sideways. And this uses an idea that I thought was the problem. Or I don't know if I said that right. So I thought when you would have it, it would TNT and sand would go here, and then the booster, it's still going to be aligned like out here. But because it's using Minecraft, this stuff's going to go up first and then over. So I figured my method of left shooting, I figured it wouldn't work because of this reason. One sec. I ran out of memory. Whatever. I just have a lot of video I have. And yeah, I just want to say happy birthday to the Leftshooter. This video is probably way too fucking long, so I'll upload it tomorrow morning. Tonight, tomorrow morning, same time. And cool. Eventually I'll do those videos I talked about. I'm probably not going to do any sort of private lessons because I'm busy and I do lots of exciting things, including school sometimes. So yeah, that'll be that. I might actually do like some differential equation vector math shit in some of my videos. So if you guys are interested in that, I could do that too. I think it would be actually very interesting to do that with left shooting. Cool. I'm going to go.